So ladies and gentlemen, during reconnaissance operation carried out by the Russian African Corps and the Malian Armed Forces, they spotted the staging point of the JNIM, which some people will call a military base, but given the logistic capabilities and the capacity of the point, I will call it a staging point, all right? But a lot of intelligence analysts call it a base for the terrorists. So the Russian African Corps discovered this position and they launched two precision targeted strike on this base, destroying a lot of JNIM mercenary personnel and also their logistic capability. Now what happened? The JNIM militias, they retreated from the base and they went back to a point where they stayed themselves. Unfortunately for those JNIM mercenaries, the birds from the Malian farmers were still chirping. The Malian Armed Forces launched a precision targeted strike at the staging point after they retreated from the initial strike of the Russian African Corps. According to information, the logistic capability of the enemy got compromised and a lot of personnel were deleted in this operation. So same locality, same region, one mission. At the end of the day, the Malian Armed Forces were able to ensure that there was a total liberation of this mercenary element in this locality called Toubara. Now, because of how recent this information is, we're just hours away from this information. When you check on Western media like Acled and different sources for verification of operations, they don't have this information yet. The last information they have in the Mopti region was the ones in Sahel. So maybe by tomorrow or next tomorrow, they will be up to speed with this information. This only means that the Western media, they are very, very blindsided to what is going on in the Sahel. They don't have the updates. So that's why we're bringing it to you, so that you can be up to speed with what is going on in the Alliance of Sahel State. So ladies and gentlemen, according to the report from the ground, we heard that the Sheikh of the JNIM in the Toubara locality got deleted in this operation. And several of his disciples, because these are the people he preached to, so they got rattled in the same precision targeted strike. Now we have some elements of the same JNIM mercenaries in Mali that were captured. According to information, their operational security got compromised and they have been apprehended by the Malian forces. Ladies and gentlemen, let's look at this beautiful kids right here. Families, you can actually tell us what you think the authorities should do to these elements of perdition. According to the information we have, a mayor in France have just given his own take on the current situation in Mali and was a little bit coy when it comes to talking about the players that have been supporting the destabilization of Mali. Ladies and gentlemen, let's watch this video.
To condemn the terrorist acts that have struck, particularly in the northern region of Mali, which are still ongoing. We also raised concerns about the somewhat ambiguous role played by both Europe and Russia in this situation. And then we also called for responsibility from the people, especially the Algerian people, and notably the Algerian state as well. So we have a set.
Is Algeria complicit? Not necessarily.
But today there is a close relationship that has developed with Algeria over many years, with Mali. Then there is the invisible hand. of the former colonial states, which sometimes try to pit Algeria against Mali. But in reality, these peoples have always lived together. So it is absolutely necessary to preserve this fraternal relationship that actually exists between these states. So that's the concrete reality in which we find ourselves.
What do you think about these politicians? Do you think they have the facts but they don't want to go all out? Or do you think they're just being a little bit very careful what they say? Well, for independent speakers like us, we go for the truth, ladies and gentlemen. We have nobody to fear, we just go for the scalp immediately. So I know he's trying to say that France is actively sponsoring terrorism. He's trying to say Algeria is actively sponsoring terrorism. See, this old brotherhood conversation, is over with. Algeria is actively sponsoring destabilization in Mali, and Mauritania is equally complicit in this crime. But that said, well, some of these individuals are too scared to say these things, but at the end of the day, they always come out and say it. Ladies and gentlemen, the Malian justice system has actually deliberated on the issue of the apprehended culprit of the initial coup d'etat in Mali that got quelled. I'm talking about the coup that was led by General Abbas Dembele, and a lot of these elements have been sentenced. According to information, the highlight of this sentencing was the French DGSE agent to the French Ministry of Foreign Affairs called a diplomat in Mali. Ladies and gentlemen, this French DGSE officer has now been sentenced to 20 years imprisonment and is to pay a fine of over 3.6 million CFA franc. Apart from this, it will not only serve 20 years in prison, it's going to be 20 years with hard labor. Ladies and gentlemen, whole Mali. So, well, what do you think the Malians should have done? Do you think the sentencing should have even been longer? A lot of people, unfortunately, were calling for a death sentence, but ladies and gentlemen, Mali did what they had to do, and I think 20 years for someone like Ian Vasilier, is it's a very beautiful development for Mali. I think Mali is still a little bit friendly to France, to have given this type of element 20 years. What do you think would have happened in North Korea? What do you think would have happened in Russia? What do you think would have happened in China? What do you think would have even happened in France if they were to trade place? Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can kindly give us your opinion. Just give us your opinion that way, what you think should have been done to Ian Vasilier. Now, General Abdurrahmani Chiani has returned from his diplomatic mission to Turkey, where he met President Erdogan. They had a lot of discussion, trade, investment, transfer of technology, bilateral cooperation, security cooperation. And let me just give you the highlight of this meeting. According to information, President Abdurrahmani Chiani said that the president of Turkey, when it came to delivery of military armament and capabilities to the Sahel, that the president of Turkey did not even wait for the invoice before he approved all the necessary capabilities that would boost the operational capabilities of the Alliance of Sahel State. Ladies and gentlemen, you see, President Abdurrahmani Chiani is not only representing Niger in this mission, he's representing the entire AES state. So a lot of people have been asking, why is Niger moving? Why is this happening? Why is that happening? Well, that is one country moving and projecting the position and the interest of the entire Alliance of Sahel State. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the last information with Captain Ibrahim Traore giving us a very, very important message. And I think it is very important for everybody to hear what Captain Ibrahim has to say. It's been a while.
I once met the former president of Venezuela, and he told me that as the father of the revolution, every single day he would address the nation through his long speeches on the radio. And he himself, who was his follower, wondered why he spoke every day. And Chavez said, you always have to speak so that people understand the message and so that the message of imperialism cannot get through. More than ever, he understood this, and he had come just to encourage me to keep speaking. Meanwhile, on the continent, our brothers, perhaps those who still haven't understood anything, tell us that we talk too much. And often it's these either intellectuals who perhaps haven't understood, who have been completely shaped by the Western system, by the imperialist system, who think we talk too much because they can't understand or grasp the message we're conveying. Unfortunately, that's their weakness too, but we must keep speaking. Our young people must wake up. Just before coming here, I went to encourage a young woman who was once fought against. When she tried to process our cotton, a product, a medical absorbent cotton that is used and all that, she was fought against, her factory was shut down, her machines were all dismantled and put away. When we arrived, we tried to support her. And the factory reopened this morning. That's all Africa is asking for, to produce, to process, and to consume. And we will continue to encourage these kinds of initiatives. But all of this comes through a change in mindset. And also, I would say, by forcing the hand of some people, and that is the revolution. Because changing the mentality of the bourgeoisie is difficult. And it is this bourgeoisie that oppresses and continues to collaborate with imperialism because they have the means. And also communicates. They use every channel to keep young Africans stagnant. That's why young Africans end up risking their lives, dying by the thousands in the ocean, trying to reach the so-called El Dorado, if we can call it that. But we need to be able to create it here, and it is possible. We have embarked on this revolution, and I believe that today, for Africa, it is the only path that can truly allow us to develop. Beyond that, I don't see any other method that can withstand the maneuvers of imperialism and its local lackeys on the ground. You won't be able to move forward. They will always put obstacles in your way. Through the laws that the imperialists themselves have put forward have led to be developed. Through the organizations and institutions that the imperialists helped establish in our states. We must be able to break all of that so that Africa can rise again and unite. And move forward. Wars have torn us apart too much. Talking about wars, speaking, trying to touch their hearts. We are at war in Burkina. We know where it comes from. We are fighting. But when we look at the history of certain countries, it breaks our hearts even more. Sudan, Congo, in short, there are enough places where people, thousands of brothers, are dying, torn apart by the endless days. Here, it's individuals manipulated by imperialism who are sitting on the other side, sending them a bit of money, fuel, weapons, and ammunition. And they kill their brothers. They roam through the countryside, killing, without even knowing why they're doing it. But all of this is because minds are still switched off. You need to be able to turn the minds of many Africans back on so that we can wake up. And this is serious. And it's through the communication that you do. You are already doing it very well, and I encourage you to continue this gathering. We have created the Institute of Black Peoples. We are in the process of making it operational, and I hope that everyone will participate, either in person or via video conference, to continue educating our youth so that they take responsibility, understand the world, and so that Africa can awaken. Finally, so that we can unite and live with dignity and freedom. And as I have said before, a revolutionary loves all people. It is often politics that causes people to be confused with one another. But politics should not divide people. So let us work, no matter our position, to unite people rather than divide them. But we must, one way or another, get politicians to change their approach in Africa. And here as well, we will continue to speak out, even if it is not diplomatic, but we will do it.
So families, what do you think about everything that Captain Ibrahim Traore has said right there? What do you think about Ian Vesely? What do you think about the capabilities and the improvement of the Malian operational security? So ladies and gentlemen, you can kindly give us your opinion on what you think in the comments. Please do well to like this video, do well to share, and if you've not subscribed to the Android community yet, please do well to subscribe. I want to thank Bad Design and all other persons in the Android community for your support. Roxy Angel, Brother Maketa, Flavor Blade, all of you, Ignatius Moore. Like, I can't mention everybody on the Android community, but as soon as possible I'll begin to mention everybody's name. Deadly, leaving Cali. A lot of you, I want to say thank you to everybody for holding it down with the Android community. And ladies and gentlemen, this is where we'll draw the curtain for today. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for your time, and much love and respect.